every day I don't take for granted the opportunity I have, to coach at Florida State. And, I approach the day that way. Push our guys to that standard. Understanding the history of this university, understanding the players that played here, and I make sure our guys are held to that standard. And, I tell people all the time the biggest blessing I've had in coaching is being with Coach Odell. Every day, he's a constant reminder of how things need to be just by his presence. And he's helped me so much as a young coach, helped me as a man, helped me as a future father, helped me as a husband. He's been my biggest blessing. It's just a standard that we have to get back to, especially up front. And last year, those guys, going into the season was projected to be probably one of the greatest D-lines to ever play through here. And we just want to, we want to have that same type of, expectation, but we want to hold ourselves to that standard and understand, people can say anything, but it's the work you put in every day. I constantly remind those guys.
Something that's been talked about a lot with your defensive players, specifically at Nebraska, just how close they are, and how a lot of other position groups will actually kind of come into your guys' room just because of how that environment that you create. What goes into cultivating that?
Well, I think, from the great players that I played with in the NFL, that's something, knowing the history of defensive line play, the history of great defenses in the past, before I was even born, the great players always talk about how close the group were. And playing with DeMarcus Ware and Aaron Campbell, those type of leaders, Peyton Manning, the first things they did, in the spring or in camp was bonding, going out to dinners together, Peyton Manning taking the whole team to the casino, and giving everybody money to gamble with, just true leadership things, and that's something that stuck with me. And I think just my personality, I have a big personality in the locker room, and ultimately it always brings the team closer together. And that's one thing you miss about being a player, is that you rather in the locker room. So that's one thing I definitely bring back to the room. And our guys, are very close now, and the rest of the team sees it, and it gets to a point now where I don't have to do much anymore. Those guys are just always together.
Obviously, on the recruiting trail, you are recruiting a bunch of different body types, at Jazz, a whole new interior positions. But just the prerequisites for a Terrance Knighton defensive line recruit. What do you look for? What are those recruits?
Football guys. The coaching part is easy. Just football guys that love the game. And obviously money has become a big thing now, recruiting. And I don't know how much anyone makes or how much we offer guys. I just recruit the hell out of them. And for me, I'm just a straight shooter, man. I'm a normal guy, and I tell all the guys I'm not recruiting. I'm not going to call you and ask you what you have for breakfast every single day just to say I talk to you. I have real conversations with guys, and from a football standpoint, we just look for a lot of versatility. When you see guys on tape that line up in positions, especially in this defense, those are the guys you want. So right now, we're lucky enough to have guys like KJ, Daniel Lyons, D-Jack, big guys that can move well. So we're lucky in that space. And so for me, man, I just, recruiting it's not hard, but it's just become more than just relationships. You know what I mean? Because when I was in college, I just wanted a scholarship and a guy that I could trust. And, I take that same approach, and guys go to other places for other reasons, but I stick true to who I am, and that's something I learned about Coach Odell, was to coach with love, recruit with love, and just do that every single day.
The jack position specifically, what does that role entail? What do you want to get out of that's playing?
It's a hard position to recruit, and it's a hard position to develop, because it's really a linebacker that can rush, but it's really a defensive lineman that can play linebacker. So it's tough, but when you find the right guys, when you find those unicorns in high school recruiting, you go after those guys. And I think when you're really good at the jack position on this defense, you're really good on defense, because that's the hybrid guy. And luckily for us right now, we have multiple guys that can do it. Whether it's Steph Thompson, Juice, or Elijah from the linebacker position, or James, Amari, or Tate Diggs from the D-line. So it's going to be a lot of guys in the field at once, and I can do a lot of multiple things, and I think ultimately that's what makes our defense.
I guess to change courses, but what's kind of been the reception from recruits, whether it's guys that are in here this summer or 2026? What's been the reception about your philosophies and the stuff you want to do with defensive line?
I think from a football standpoint, they love the versatility up front, right? Where you're not just standing there catching blocks and taking on double teams all day, those type of things. Guys strictly want to make plays, right? And then from a personal standpoint, I think they love how relatable I am, how honest I am. Sometimes guys don't like the honesty.
Yeah.
Right? When I bring recruits in, sometimes we'll watch tape and I'll be like, hey, you need to work on this and work on that. And some guys take that and coach, give me more. And some guys don't. And the football guys want more. So those are the guys that we want. So, ultimately, for me, man, like I said, just football guys that want to learn, want to work hard, and just want an opportunity.